Breaking news here on CBS Sports HQ. Future Hall of Famer Chris Paul is going to miss approximately the next 2 months because of a fractured right thumb he suffered in Wednesday's game against the Rockets. 17-year NBA vet, second with the Phoenix Suns. This is pretty big because the Suns have the best record in the NBA at 48-10. Now, Chris Paul is an all-star. According to David Aldridge, Chris Paul is going to play some minutes in Sunday night's All-Star game before coming out. Both teams are aware, so they'll just play it safe. A little bit odd that CP3 is still going to play in Sunday's All-Star game despite the injury. Let's welcome in CBS Sports NBA insider Bill Reiter. Bill, CP3 out approximately 8 weeks here with a fractured right thumb, but he's going to play in the All-Star game. A couple of minutes here just to kind of, I guess, be ceremoniously welcomed in, and then he'll be subbed out. It's a little wild here, this situation.
Yeah, it's bizarre. Hopefully, we'll just have to go with what we think will be common sense here. CP3 will come in, get his ovations, be on the floor for 30 seconds, not really play basketball and get off the floor, because as you alluded to, Akeem, this is the best team in the NBA, the Phoenix Suns, largely, no, not entirely, but largely because Chris Paul is the leader of that team, and you do not want to do anything to jeopardize his health, especially, with all respect to the All-Star game, an exhibition contest that doesn't actually matter in the long run.
Chris Paul, we know what he means to this Suns team. How do you put that in perspective with him being out, potentially missing the start of the playoffs?
This is a huge story. It is the equivalent of Joel Embiid going out for this amount of time with Philly or LeBron James. I know that they're basically out of contention going out with the Lakers, or Giannis missing the remainder of the regular season potentially with the Bucks. Chris Paul is a top 5 or top 10 player. He should be and would have been an MVP candidate on a lot of ballots, including mine. And while the Suns have a huge lead in a lot of respects, right? 6.5, I think, over the number 2 seed Golden State Warriors, 17 over whoever the 7 seed is, right? They're going to be fine. In theory, they'll probably run the risk of losing some home court advantage maybe later in the postseason. But as long as he comes back by mid-April, the postseason begins April 16th, and he's 100% when they get to that point, you'd think the Suns are going to be okay, but it's scary because you never know with injuries, and you certainly never know with guys like Chris Paul, great as he is, Akeem, who are a little bit more advanced in years, obviously a veteran, been in the league a long time, and so you just don't want to see this if you're a Suns fan.
Yeah, leads the NBA in assists and steals this season. Again, the guy's really good at basketball. He's a future Hall of Famer, helped him get the NBA Finals last year. They lost, of course, to Giannis and the Bucks. Isn't that 1 seed, though? Isn't that something that is important in your mind? Because, look, yeah, the lead 6.5 on Golden State coming out of the All-Star break. Isn't that something where you go, oh, man, we could slide here in the Western Conference and we fall quickly out of that 1 spot?
Look, I'm sort of on an island here. I think there's 2 teams that are really in contention, serious contention to make the finals this year, Akeem. I think it's the Suns and the Warriors. So, yes, I think as it relates to the notion that theoretically you could have home court advantage go away, and you could have to play a Game 7 if we get there in a Western Conference Finals in the Bay Area, in downtown San Francisco now instead of Phoenix, it is significant. The good news, I guess, for the Suns is they're not the Los Angeles Lakers, they're not the Brooklyn Nets, they're not one of these teams with championship aspirations that have not earned a little bit of padding between them and the rest of the NBA. It certainly could come back to bite them in the postseason, but their postseason dreams don't go away. They don't turn to dust as long as Chris Paul can come back and be healthy mid-April when we're expecting he will be back.
As you know, Suns have a deep roster. Who steps up? Who fills the shoes of Chris Paul while he's out?
Yeah, this is, I guess, fortuitous in the face of bad news because they've been really safe with Cam Payne. He's been out for a while, but Cameron Payne, who's their backup point guard, and we've seen this, Akeem. He can be an electric player. We've seen last season when Chris Paul was out a little bit how good Payne could be and how good he could be with Chris Paul. He's expected to be back after the All-Star break. That was true before this injury news came out. So Cam Payne will take over a lot of the ball handling duties, and then it's just, but the other answer in the modern NBA, because it's not positionless entirely, but you can get around that, is the next superstar has to step up. It's a very deep team, but Devin Booker just going to have to take on the mantle of being the best player on the best team in the NBA until his teammate Chris Paul gets back.
Chris Paul out 6 to 8 weeks with a fractured right thumb. Bill Reiter with the perspective here on CBS Sports HQ. Bill, thank you. And the Phoenix Suns looking to get back to the NBA Finals for the 2nd year in a row. Win it this time. They're the favorites to win the West at plus 190. Favorites to win the title at plus 450. but certainly those odds will take a little bit of a hit with the news of CP3 injured 6 to 8 weeks. He could miss the start of the playoffs. We'll have to wait and see, but for now, expected to be out 6 to 8 weeks because of a fractured right thumb.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.